In a world where secrets are currency, Patrick was the master banker. As an intelligence officer in the army, he was the linchpin of operations, the one who connected the dots and painted the bigger picture. But his story begins in Hawaii, in the year 1971, where a seemingly ordinary day was about to take an extraordinary turn. As the sun crept over the Pacific, Lieutenant Dauphinais approached Patrick with a mission. The words hung in the air: 4 stops for the tape deliveries, all in Vietnam. The promise of a journey that would change the course of his life. A journey that would keep him away from home for a month. While away, Patrick had the honor and the challenge of working closely with the general. This was the man who called the shots, the man who held the reins of the campaign. It was a task that demanded all of Patrick's skills and acumen, yet he never faltered, his dedication unwavering. Upon his return, a reunion awaited at the Redhead's plantation, a moment of warmth and familiarity in a life filled with uncertainty. The woman Cho welcomed him with open arms and a heart full of relief. "Too long, Patrick," she said, her words echoing the sentiments of countless others. Patrick's journey hadn't been an easy one. He had faced danger head-on, from his helicopter being hit to engaging in a firefight with the NVA at a firebase. He had run through jungles and stared death in the face, all the while fueled by the thought of Cho waiting for him back home. His story is one of courage, resilience, and an unwavering commitment to his duty. A story of a man who walked through fire and came out stronger. Despite the trials and tribulations, Patrick remained steadfast, his spirit unbroken. In the end, it was not just about delivering tapes or working with the general. It was about the survival of the human spirit amidst chaos and danger. It was about the power of love to provide strength in the face of adversity. And above all, it was about a man named Patrick, an intelligence officer, who lived his life on the edge, yet never lost sight of what truly mattered. As we delve into his report, we are reminded of the immense sacrifices made by individuals in the line of duty. Individuals like Patrick who put their lives on the line day in and day out for the greater good. His journey, his experiences serve as a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who serve in the military, a story of courage, of honor, and of unwavering dedication. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Patrick, the intelligence officer.
Picture this. The year is 1971 and we are in the heart of the picturesque Hawaiian Islands. Meet Patrick, an intelligence officer in the army, and his girlfriend Cho. Their love story is one rooted in the tumultuous times of war and separation, yet blossoming amidst the chaos. Cho, it was a dicey situation, but you know how it is. Sometimes life throws curveballs, says Patrick in a matter-of-fact tone. His experiences have made him a man of few words, but each one carries weight. Cho responds, her voice laced with concern. You always downplay the danger, Patrick, but I know the risks you take. And now, I'll be off to the university thanks to you. I owe you thrice over. Patrick chuckles. Well, I suppose that means we'll have to enjoy our time together 3 times as much. His tone turns serious as he continues. I'll be back in Vietnam soon, Cho. They need me there. I'll be working directly under the general, so there's little room for refusal. Cho's response is immediate. Promise me you'll return safely, Patrick. I plan to, Cho. The war is losing steam and the troops are gearing up to return home. After this stint, hopefully, life will take a turn for the better. As the conversation winds down, the air between them is filled with a mix of hope and trepidation. Their story is a testament to the strength of love in the face of adversity, a beacon of light in the darkest of times. Their final exchange leaves us with a sense of anticipation, yearning for the promise of a peaceful future. "Here's to hoping," murmurs Cho, her voice barely above a whisper. And so we leave them, their hopes and dreams echoing in the silence, a poignant reminder of love's resilience in the face of uncertainty.
There are books unwritten on the so-called Defense Intelligence Agency, and stories never told. We can listen until we get old. By what muted shore of the dark river did its strand call me forth? We're sure that we'll never hear worse. By what far edge of furrowed forest did the Clemmer Rouge seek my name? O Questor, through what hazy depth of gloom hast thou tread and threadest? Gather you round, and you shall knowest, we were in Cambodia, unauthorized, but useful and needed. I stayed behind to man the big machine gun. What beastly heart springs our zest? Of what searching eye became our sight? What sound in the bushes let us hear? What dark past haunts but helps us be? Lady Luck becoming. He believed that luck would never fail, so he ran like the wind through the jungle, surely knowing he'd had what he'd come for, now hopeful to find help at the shore. The relentless ones were not far behind, that ill-fated menace of the bad kind. Misfortune laughed and said, "No road could be too hard to tread, for we are fearless, to those a boon, for they ever seize the opportune." I see you, fairest happening. Just past a sharp turn in the trees, he suddenly dropped to his knees and fired into his pursuers' mien as they came upon the scene, using all his ammo but for one round, then hurried on with nary a sound. I'm wide aware, Miss Karma, of this continuing dharma, that chance shines as my sun, for she in turn had one. "Oh, say it is your lot, my friend and lover," she answered back, granting him cover. He was the last one, for he had manned the machine gun. Listening, he could hear ever more troops rushing through the night in groups, about a half a mile back around the loops. I gratefully welcome thee, Miss Lady Luck of Dice, though I may pay a late fee for my pickup so precise. Miss Destiny Serendipity smiled, saying, "The game is on, we are playing. Let joy and innocence prevail. Believe that luck will never fail." He moved on, ever faster, cheating death, a third wind becoming of her vaporous breath, it blowing this operative onward, to the shore, ever toward. He could hear the whirling chopper, but now receding was its Doppler, he thus grieving of its leaving. Am I much too late, still too far? Shall I curse you all, destined stars? No, said lovely dear twist of fate, for you have one bullet left for chance, not to use to sleep or dream perchance. But the chopper was rising high, well into the star-crossed sky. Shall to self I take this bullet, now that the buzz has left? Oh no, Miss Lucky Break encouraged. Do not be at all discouraged, for you know it shall not be so, and what with it you now must do. Yes, perhaps it shall be so in some plight, coinciding in a most kempt and hapful night. He smiled and then knelt to ground, and sent his last bright tracer round, just ahead of the copter now departing, his minor wound yet sorely smarting. I bless you with all my lucky charms, my good and well-fated man of arms. The door gunner noted the red tracer, and whence it came of the river vapors. Captain, turn back and take a look. He awaits a fortuitous, accidental fluke. Ah, I am an uncursed, non-jinxed, aged man. Let my joyous innocence prevail again. He jumped into the rescue's hovering haven, directing the door gunner's firings waving. Fare thee well, my knightly knight. Dame Fortune wished upon his sight. He'll recognize me even in the dark. Oh, my angel, Passiana, lovely lark, I might have known it was you, who would ever see me through.
In the heart of the Cambodian jungle, a lone US soldier races against the encroaching darkness. He's pursued by a relentless enemy, his only guide the ephemeral whispers of his beloved, urging him on, her spirit entwining with the very essence of luck itself. The soldier, a stalwart believer in the power of fortune, pushes through the undergrowth, his heart pounding in sync with the rhythmic mantra of his faith. No path is too treacherous, he tells himself, for the brave who seize the opportune. Suddenly, a sharp turn in the path. The soldier drops to his knees, firing into the darkness. His pursuers falter, but he has only one round left. Time is of the essence. Half a mile away, the ominous sound of reinforcements echoes through the night. The soldier presses on, his faith unwavering. "I welcome thee, Lady Luck," he declares, "even if I am late to your game." Ahead, he hears the distant whir of a helicopter. His heart sinks, it's leaving. Despair begins to creep in. The soldier considers his last bullet, but his beloved's voice echoes in his mind. "Do not be discouraged," she urges. "You know what you must do." With renewed resolve, the soldier fires his last round, a bright tracer cutting through the night sky. The chopper's door gunner spots it, the signal of a man desperate for a lucky break. "I am an uncursed, non-jinxed agent man," the soldier affirms. He jumps into the chopper, a haven amidst the chaos. "Farewell, my knight," Lady Luck whispers, her voice a soft sigh on the wind. "You recognize me, even in the dark." The soldier, now safe, smiles. "I might have known it was your spark that would guide me through." In the end, it's a tale of faith and fortune, a testament to the belief that luck favors the brave, the believer, the lover. It's a story that reminds us that even in the darkest of jungles, the spirit of Lady Luck, intertwined with the love of a cherished one, can guide us home.
Another minute or so and the above-ground portions of the rock would be gone, and soon they were, shattering and flying away. The enemy would see no one behind the rock, which was no longer there, but just might figure it out soon. I raised a small bending scope and noted the yet noiseless jets approaching on the horizon, behind the battalion, as well as a vanguard of Clemens approaching at 600 yards. We just needed 60 seconds now, or even half. As it turned out, the music began to play upon the drama. For 30 seconds, the enemy first heard the sounds of the jets, crying to all the rest to retreat. Yet some of the vanguard still ran toward our woods, perhaps preferring that over an open field. Not good, neither for us nor for the special troops that were still retreating through the forest, who could still become targets at the river shore clearing. While boarding, at 0 seconds, the airstrike landed on the main battalion, a fine diversion for us eyes. And so we rose from our would-be graves and ran back into the woods, rolling out the machine gun. Blasting most of the oncomers away for quite a while. The chess moves had come to pass, although still ongoing into new territory. The machine gun finally overheated and jammed. We made no pause, which is more of the training. And so we were up and off into the jungle like bats out of hell, not wanting to become meatloaf. The enemy, a bit shocked at the silence, had taken rather too long to give chase, but that they then did, yet still 100 yards off or more. Their beat and their one lucky projection blasting the major to bits and instant death with some great munition. Just 20 yards behind me, he an older man and of a high rank, as I was a lieutenant. I met the DIA general at Longbeard when delivering Army supply system and intelligence computer tapes to the various outposts in the Pacific. The DIA had its own military arm that didn't exist, a phantom arm. Somewhere in the darkest night peace will come, as the spirit flies, as you weave a spell by another name, that causes the snow to fall with the summer rain in the Cambodian jungle, as I flee through it, as the boy who was once on the cross-country team. Then I will come to you, my love, with the passing of the days, and I will set you free each time, your round-eyed beauty much more appreciated in the land of Hawaii, where east ever meets west and blends, to remove the chains that bind your heart. Innocence may die, and wiser men will somehow remain the same, and you and I will take our place in time, and find a way to fly, far beyond the crystal sea. I can hear all your whispered dreams and the endless signs of the ones who love. They live on in the stars above. Then I will come to you, my love, with the passing of the days, and I will set you free each time. The Rouge were killing the doctors and the professionals, and the general could not take this. His will and valor would transfer onto all of us. Come away to fly. We will set them free. There was an ebb and flow to the general's prey and charges, large successes like the surprise one, although a setback to us, at first, losing several troops, and an officer, when stumbling onto such a large Clement contingent. followed by lulls in which intelligence was analyzed as far away as Hawaii, as it was from there that the overall Pacific was commanded. "You sped my step," he said to her and to me from here to long ago, whilst everyone attempted to retard it, as even now before winds are ever warning of the reports, of the last resort, of the tip of the iceberg that has now globally warmed away, for spring has sprung in spurts, and is yet of the joy that never left. We were on the wrong side of the river, by purpose, in Cambodia, which was fine, for we barely existed, with no records kept. We were in the wrong place, too. One of our air mishaps, as it turned out, and actually one very early on, of a cascade of unfortunate events that was not totally unplanned for. Always have an out, for there will be those times of woe. We, the intelligence officers, had been inserted along with the DIA, special troops, another nameless non-designation, and they were with us, for we supported each other. The action had been going fairly well, as planned. The many opposing rampages led not so much by reason but by the beast that was ever part and parcel of man. The fire engagement was over, for now, in the main, as a retreat had been called by the captain of the section upon detection of a larger than expected approaching ground force. This fallback being somewhat hindered by some opposition stragglers whose spirits had been bolstered by the sight of an entire Khmer Rouge division boldly crossing along an open field, which could become good luck, or not, for either side. The tail end of the section retreaters was further slowed by the carrying and stretchering of our dead and wounded. Actually, the surprise incursion had gone well, but for the fact that we two remaining were now pinned to the ground just inside the front edge of the tree line, as all hell was breaking loose, shattering the forest trees and their branches. The special troops had just begun their slowed retreat, and we could leave no one behind but ourselves. My major friend and I, the lead rouge, were advancing, haphazardly, with some old and assorted mini-artillery, with an entire battalion or division some ways behind. We would not last where we were, but we had to stay behind for yet another reason, for we were the information and intelligence gatherers when in the field and on the ground, as well as back at our base in Hawaii. All we had was a machine gun, but a large one, hidden a bit further back in the woods, recently dug out of the ground, where we had left it on a prior occasion of reckon. Always think many moves ahead, yet, it was not quite the right time to retrieve it and use it, which is of knowing when to move. Not just where, on the chessboard, for we'd have to be somewhat exposed to use it. Plus it wouldn't be that useful against the machines firing into our area, and it would draw attention to our troops' retreat path, for the KR didn't exactly know where we were, or if any of us still were. Do not show yourself until you have to. We had to survive at least 10 more long minutes. The fire was beginning to converge on us, whether by luck or a good sense of sweep, from either side, but not yet straight on. Where a medium-sized boulder sat, just up ahead in the grassy field, as to why we had chosen the spot, do or die. We dashed out and crept up to it already having an end split just off of it. We needed more time, at least many or several minutes. We dug out the ground behind the really big rock a foot or so deep, exposing the part of the boulder yet underground, and late in the depression the rock had been hard, and the road of the trail was long. Yet I knew that the general would not leave me behind, as long as I was relatively on time and or could give him some indication that I was alive. Pending, of course, the fact that we weren't supposed to be here, and the less attention on it the better. The arriving enemies at the shore, if more came in greater numbers, could be better dealt with by firing on them from the other side of the river. I reached for the radio, but then remembered that it had been assigned to the major, my mentor and my friend, even though I wasn't even a captain yet, nor now even the total captain of my fate, for the chessboard had now crashed and fallen to the ground. This young lieutenant of myself at 40 years ago believed that luck would never fail, so he ran like the wind through the jungle, surely knowing he'd what he'd come for, now hopeful to find the help at the shore. The relentless ones were not far behind, that ill-fated menace of the bad kind. Misfortune laughed and said, no road could be too hard to tread, for we are fearless. To those, a boon, for they ever seize the opportune. I see you, first happening, just past a sharp turn, in the trees. He suddenly dropped to his knees and fired into his pursuers mean as they came upon the scene, using all his ammo but for one round, then hurried on, with nary a sound. I am wide aware, Miss Karma, of this continuing dharma that chance shines as my sun, for she, in turn, happens on every one. Oh, say it is your lot, my friend and lover, she answered back, granting him cover. Listening, he could hear ever more troops rushing through the night, in groups, about a half-mile back, around the loops. Far enough away, I gratefully welcome thee, Miss Lady Luck of Dice, though I may pay a late fee for my pick-up so precise. M's Destiny Serendipity smiled, saying, the game is on, we're yet alive and playing. Let joy and innocence prevail, believe that luck will never fail. He moved on, ever faster, cheating lame old death, a third wind becoming of her vaporous breath, it blowing this dire operative onward to the shore, ever toward. He could hear the whirling chopper, but now receding was its Doppler, he thus grieving of its leaving. Am I much too late, still too far? Shall I curse you all? Destined stars know, said lovely dear twisted fate, for you have one bullet left for chance, not to use to sleep or dream the chance. But the chopper was rising nigh, up into the star-crossed sky. Sure to self, I take this bullet now that the bus has left her. No, Miss Lucky, break encouraged. Do not be at all discouraged, for you know it shall not be so, and what with it you now must do. Yes, perhaps it shall be so in some plight coinciding in a most kempt and hapful night. He smiled and then knelt to ground, and sent his last bright trace around just ahead of the copter now departing, his minor wounds yet sorely smarting. I bless you with all my lucky charms, my good and well-fated man of arms. The dull gunner noted the red tracer and whence it came with the river vapors. Captain, turn back and take a look. Here awaits a fortuitous accidental fluke. I am an uncursed, non-jinxed agent man. Let my joyous innocence prevail again. He jumped into the rescue's hovering haven, directing the door gunner's firings. Well then, fare thee well. My knightly knight Dame Fortune wished upon his side. You recognized me even in the dark. Oh, my angel, lovely lark. I might have known it was you who would ever see me through. We retrieved what was left of the Major. A ceremony was held at the Punch Bowl, a volcanic crater that is the national cemetery of the Pacific. I hardly recognized the general in his full dress uniform. He spoke, ending with the famous saying, changing it a bit, ask not for whom the bell tolls, for it tolls for all of us. His helicopter later landed in Fort Shafter, on the grass in the center of Palm Circle, causing quite a stir. But, indeed, here he was the official commander, and not the man who never was.
All is never as it seems.
The Diet General reminded the lieutenant.
You guys came through for me, and a heck of a turnaround. The rescuers could stay there for the minute, as they were bound by their orders, but they would have waited all night for you if they could have. One must not be late.
Indeed, I was almost the late Austin torn, but for a luckish wind that carried me on its wings.
But for that you would have been on time for your funeral.
Good one, General, but I am now reborn to punctuality.
That you are. What do you make of this so-called enemy that cuts down all the professional doctors and others of such high caliber?
They are steeled, and will never know until the end draws nigh.
The pity that man is yet an infant species.
We see many good and bad things directly, person to person, via the actual.
Such are the good civil laws and good human values taught.
The problem becomes when we see from no direction but the imagined, via the unreal.
These good things, merely pronounced, also define their bad counterpart.
One then forgets their source, leaping into adoption, becoming with them one. Thus, the ideas must be protected.
Anger arises toward the contrary, as emotion stains the brain.
Then, evil is done in the name of good.
And all these good things eventually come to a bloody end.
Say and do what you will, before it's too late.
Good words, soldier. Any hostile casualties?
An accurate count of 106, plus up to 20 indeterminate from the chopper fire, upon its departure, plus an uncountable but large number from the airstrike.
I figure. Then what was left of them were drawn to you.
It was so.
Effective but not very good for one's health, yet unavoidable. Your tardiness is excused.
Thanks for your being, General.
And you, too, but I cannot call you a lieutenant.
Since I don't exist?
No, because you are now a captain.
Thanks.
And with that comes
Or even more responsibility and satisfaction. The new action with Section 2 went fairly well. Section 2 was now into the sun, it casting off ballast, the Section 2 leader finally arriving and telling the general of for whom the bell may have tolled, while he oversaw the stowage of his wounded. The general paced the shore, knowing that but 60 seconds remained. He had a feeling that his new captain would be on time this time.
You're 1 second early, my good man.
From what I could see back through the woods with the third eye in the back of my head, but mostly heard with my ears, was that the airstrike was dead on target.
Lucky for you.
I live on luck.
Probability has no memory, Major.
Major?
Yes, and that is as far as you go, if you wish, for anything beyond that is rather mostly a desk job with no desk.
Before all this, my friends, one by one, from high school, who hadn't gone on to college, had died in Vietnam while I was obtaining a degree. The years went by, and my best friend, Joe, returned safely from the ongoing war, telling me all the gory details, and also how to be an effective helicopter door gunner. For example, he said, don't sweep from the direction behind the fleeing enemies and into them, but sweep from ahead of them and back into them, so that the leads don't escape, so that they all may run into your fire. I doubted if I would ever need this information, since my deferment was holding up fine, and surely the war would end within a few years. I graduated college, and worked for a year or so, and then the draft notice came. In January 1970, I flew the tapes of the Army supply and intelligence systems into Long Bin, installing them there. After having done the same in Okinawa, we were grounded until the next day's morning, due to rockets landing within the fort. The new warrant officer, from the 1st Aviation Brigade and 2nd Field Force, who would courier me and the tapes northward, came knocking, saying, our previous Healy was shot down, all perishing. We have a substitute ship, and a new pilot, me. We are clear to go alone. It wasn't the best helicopter, but it functioned, and was armed at the jaws and had cannon in front. We then flew 100 miles or more over the jungle to a remote base, the pilot again noting that a previous courier's helicopter had been shot down. I know, I replied. That was one of my predecessors. I fly all the routes now. Even before that incident, the civil service workers hadn't really wanted this delivery job, for they had families or had gotten tired of it. And, of course, after the incident, they didn't want any part of it whatsoever. But I saw it as adventure, and I still do. We had made one installation and were on to the next, when we took some fire from the ground somewhere. We had a fuel leak and some smoke. We headed towards the nearest fire base for an analysis and repairs, although there was no answer from them. Upon some dissension, we discovered that the base had been overrun. They were soon firing at us as the copter strained to ascend, the pilot emptying his cannons. Yet, the onslaught continued. I looked at the pilot and said, I can do this. And so I took to the left jaw gun and emptied it into the North Vietnamese troops, putting the box of tapes in front of my legs and feet. For more protection, we were ascending, but still within range, so the pilot rotated the ship, and I took to the right door gun, our limited ammo soon running out. I then fired a few useless shots with my pistol. Thanks, Joe, I thought, as we cleared the area and limped very many miles to the next fire base, from which we got an answer and a fine welcome. I had but a minor scratch. I had arrived in the war zone, which was more like the Twilight Zone, so it was that the DIA general had read the warrant officer's report and had appreciated our initiative, and so we were invited to meet with the wizard. the CSC PAC unit I ended up in expands to Computer Systems Command for the Pacific Theater and was located on Palm Circle, back toward the rear gate of Fort Shafter in the Hawaiian island of Oahu. It was composed of Special Army, Civil Service, and iSpooks, and was there for the Army supply system, intelligence, and nuclear concerns. There was no internet, for this was long before Al Gore invented it. These days, I believe the place is called still CSC, but as Computer Sciences Corporation, still at Fort Shafter. Also, computer security concerns, at some point, since I had college learning yet fresh in my mind, as well as a year at IBM, I did well on the Army tests, and was able to choose my destination and UT. Although drafted, the captain back at my basic training at Fort Polk had pulled me off of an early departing bus bound for my initial, provisional advanced training in artillery at Fort Sill, an order that had taken all this time, 4 weeks, actually, to get changed. He said I was going to work on a nuclear reactor. Well, that wasn't quite it, or even close. I remained there as a drill sergeant for a month before the Army got their act together on the new order. The Oakland transfer station was both hell and boredom for a week, as I guarded a dumpster at night, although having become a Spec 4 already, and then a cargo transport to cuss some tanks and munitions onto Honolulu. It was glorious, that open-air terminal, and the breathless surroundings revealed just outside. Little did I know then that I was seeing a mountain off in the distance where I would build a retreat. Just a tent actually, at first, where I first thought about the toe, at night under the stars, a place that would be revisited again and again over the years, even now, spurning the barracks after a few days, which were RA, regular Army, and therefore wild, and before further OCDIA training, I moved into a near waterfront Waikiki apartment. They had given me the first 3 weeks off to explore the island. Consequently, and even in between my training at the hardcore Schofield Barracks, I enjoyed some vacation trips to the Army bases in the Far East, some dangerous and some not, delivering computer tape updates of the Army supply and intelligence systems. It was and was not a big deal, but they surely didn't want any of this stuff to fall into the wrong hands, which would only be the Chinese or the Russians, the North Vietnamese probably not even knowing what the computer was for. The previous courier had been just shot down, and none of the civil service guys, having families, wanted to go. So they, and all, said, "Hey, let's send Austin," said he'd get a taste of the theater of operations.